and welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney and I am a recent medical school graduate, documenting my journey as I go through residency. In today's episode, I want to talk about my journey going from college to medical school, just because I am a bit of a non-traditional student, as in I took several years off in between. I didn't go straight from undergrad to medical school. And I actually think it's becoming more common for people to do that non-traditional way. A lot of people in my class, they did gap years, or some of them even were pursuing this as a second career. So they had, tons of experience in another field and then were deciding to change. So I just wanted to talk about what that looked like for me. I also did start my residency this week. This was orientation. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to document how many hours I've been working throughout every week that I'm in residency. So at the end of this video, I'll also be going over how many hours I worked this week. So let's get into it. All right, so I'll start back in December of 2015, which is when I graduated with a degree in biochemistry. When I graduated, I had a pretty strong feeling that I wanted to go to medical school, but I hadn't fully committed to it quite yet, just because I was thinking about other careers in the healthcare field, like nursing and going to PA school. So my next move was to take some time to figure out what I wanted to do, but also have some fun in the meantime. So my plan was to take some time to save up some money, spend time with my family and friends, travel, and also potentially study for the MCAT. Because I wanted to do all of these things, I didn't want an official career of sorts, just because I really wanted the flexibility that would allow me to do all of these things. So right out of college, I actually worked a bunch of part-time jobs. So I continued being a TA for my school for about a semester after graduating, and then I also worked as a cashier of server. And I'm really glad I did that because it actually offered me a lot of flexibility while also letting me earn some money. And I did that for about 2 years. And then after that time, I fully committed to going to medical school. So I decided it was time to apply. So I put together my application, sent it out all over, and I didn't get in anywhere. And I felt so stumped because I felt like I had a pretty decent application. I had research and volunteering experience. I had a pretty good MCAT score. So I didn't really know what I did wrong, and it actually made me really consider if I even wanted to go to medical school. So I was back at square one in terms of what it is I actually wanted to do with my life. And this time I was mostly considering PA school and medical school. I didn't know what my next move was going to be, but I had to do something. So I decided to look over my application again and also look at the requirements for PA school. And I saw that it's actually required to have clinical hours for PA school. So I learned that. And looking back on this, I don't know how I didn't know this, but having clinical experience is actually really important for medical school applications as well. I don't remember ever seeing that it was required, but you should almost consider it as a requirement for getting into medical school. So I figured that would be my next move, and I found a job at a dermatology office in my town, working as a medical scribe or a medical assistant slash scribe. So I decided to do that, and I did it for about 2.5 years. And it was about a year into my time there when I fully recommitted to going to medical school. It was also at this time that I learned that my MCAT score was too old to reapply, so I actually had to retake the MCAT at that point as well. And if that sounds terrible, that's because it was. It was actually a lot harder studying the second time for it just because you're so far removed from that information and you feel like you never have to take that again once you're done with that exam. So, yeah, it was pretty hard after. It was hard, but not impossible. Then the summer of 2019 came around, and I again put together my application and again sent it out all over and really just hoped for the best. This time I got much better news and was actually accepted to my top choice program in October of 2019, and that was honestly such a relief. I received a few interviews after that, but keep in mind this was all before COVID, so I actually would have had to fly to those areas, and I really just didn't want to do that, so I just opted to not do it or to do those interviews. In hindsight, I don't really regret not taking those interviews. I really enjoyed my school and being close to my family and friends. And I also wouldn't have met my now husband if I didn't go to the school that I went to, and that makes me really sad to think about. So I started school in the summer of 2020 and graduated in 2024. So it took me about 4 years. And I say that because some students actually take additional time to get through med school, either for personal reasons or some people opt to take a year or two of research. So some people can take 5 or even 6 years to graduate. So that's just to show that there's a lot of different ways that people can get through medical school as well. So, yep, I graduated in May of 2024, which takes us up to now when I am starting residency. The only thing I think I would add along the way is that I did meet and marry my now husband. We met online in May of 2021, got engaged on our second year anniversary, so in 2023, and then got married in 2024. So that was kind of a fun part of my journey that I wanted to share as well. All right, so that is the bird's eye view of my journey from college to where I'm at now. And maybe in the future, I'll go into a bit more detail about each of those different time periods. But I'm hoping that was a good general view just to get us started. One thing that I do want to talk about just briefly is that I would say that I actually did enjoy being an older medical student. I used to have the goal of graduating and getting through school and residency as fast as I could. And that's just not how it worked out, obviously. And I'm actually really okay with that. There's obviously pros and cons to both going straight through from college to medical school and also in taking a longer path to get there. And as of now, I think I can say that for me, there were more pros than cons for me. And maybe that's something I can talk about in a future episode, but just wanted to share that thought with you now. All right. Well, thank you for watching my story about how I got to where I'm at. Let's go ahead and wrap up this episode by looking at how many hours I worked this week. So I'll just put them up here on the screen and we can just talk about it briefly. On Monday was a pretty quick day with just ACLS certification, so super easy there. And Tuesday through Friday was just typical orientation stuff, so learning about the hospital, their EHR, schedule, benefits, all that good stuff. Saturday is a training with the EHR system again, so just a little bit more on that. And then Sunday was a day about shadowing the hospital that we're actually looking going to be working at and joining their rounds on IM wards. So very informative, but kind of a long stretched out week. Anyways, I guess that's just a welcome to residency. Take care, everyone.